Deion Sanders is on the verge of becoming the most powerful figure in Cleveland sports history, and he hasn't coached a single NFL game. The Browns are reportedly offering him full control over player personnel, a move almost unheard of outside legendary names like Belichick. But this isn't about tradition. It's about transformation. Bringing in Sanders means rewriting the playbook from the front office down, anchoring the entire franchise to the father-son dynamic he shares with rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. It's a move that fuses spectacle with strategy, charisma with control, and it signals one thing. The Browns aren't tweaking. They're detonating their old identity. If this deal happens, it's not just a coaching hire. It's a cultural rebrand. Deion brings media firepower, unmatched recruiting magnetism, and a personal mythology that transcends football. Giving him full authority sidelines Andrew Berry's analytical system and replaces it with personality-driven leadership. But the gamble doesn't stop there. It ties the team's fate to Shedeur's immediate success. If he delivers, it justifies everything. If he stumbles, the critics won't just blame the quarterback. They'll question the legitimacy of the entire regime. This isn't a tweak to fix a broken system. It's the Browns betting their future on narrative, star power, and the belief that legacy can lead where logic hasn't. The Cleveland Browns just detonated the NFL's coaching status quo, and the shockwaves haven't stopped. In a move that would have sounded like fan fiction 5 years ago, the Browns have reportedly offered Deion Sanders a massive contract to become their next head coach, not just to coach the team, but to run it, all of it, with full control over roster decisions, authority that's almost never handed out in today's NFL, especially not as someone who has never coached a professional snap. It's not a coaching hire. It's a full-blown regime change. And at the center of it, Shedeur Sanders, Deion's son, the Browns' freshly minted rookie quarterback. Yes, this is happening. This isn't just about football. It's about power, legacy, media, and spectacle. It's about turning one of the league's most unstable franchises into something totally unrecognizable, a dynasty or at least a narrative juggernaut, built around a father-son duo stepping into the most scrutinized roles in pro sports. Deion as head coach, Shedeur as the quarterback, both the face, the voice, the engine of the Cleveland Browns. And the league? Stunned, because this would flip every unspoken rule on its head. Deion's never coached in the NFL. He doesn't come from the traditional pipeline. His methods at Colorado raised eyebrows, but they undeniably reshaped the culture. He dismantled and rebuilt the roster there, injected energy, media attention, and identity into a program that had been on life support. He made Colorado relevant. He made them watchable. Now Cleveland wants him to do the same, on the biggest stage with higher stakes and zero safety net. Let's be clear. Giving a first-time NFL coach full roster control is unheard of. The only other name that ever came close was Bill Belichick, and even that evolved over time. Deion would be walking into total power, control over player decisions, staffing, culture, everything. It's a full reset, a demolition of the front office hierarchy. And it sends one unmistakable message. The Browns are no longer interested in incremental fixes. They're done tweaking. They're done trusting the process. They're betting the house on charisma, belief, and a story the world can't stop watching. It's also a direct hit to Andrew Berry, the GM who built the current roster, established an analytics-first front office, and was once seen as the future of NFL team building. If Deion takes over with full control, Berry's influence vanishes. His approach gets sidelined in favor of something totally opposite: emotional leadership, intuition, and media presence over spreadsheets. The front office doesn't just shift. It dissolves into a single voice. Coach Prime. And then there's Kevin Stefanski. Remember him? The guy who broke the playoff drought. The guy who managed chaos, adapted, and actually brought Cleveland back to relevance a few years ago. He's still technically the head coach, but every headline right now says otherwise. Public speculation is mounting. Ownership is silent. And his role looks more symbolic by the day. This is the uncomfortable part. Stefanski didn't fail. He got results. But when a bigger story comes along, a louder, flashier, more marketable one, results stop being enough. That's what Deion represents here. Not just a football strategy, a storyline. Bringing in Coach Prime doesn't just shift locker room dynamics. It pulls Cleveland into the national spotlight permanently. It makes the Browns a talking point in every media cycle. It sells jerseys, fills stadiums, drives views, ignites debates. In a league where entertainment and ratings are currency, Deion is a gold mine. From a business standpoint, it makes sense. The Browns haven't just been bad. They've been irrelevant. They've been the team you laugh at, not the team you watch. This changes that instantly. But from a football standpoint, there's risk, serious risk. Because coaching at the college level is not the same as managing an NFL locker room. Players aren't on scholarships. They're professionals, veterans with contracts, expectations, egos. Managing that dynamic takes more than swagger. It takes nuance, credibility. And when your quarterback is your son, the stakes double. That's the most explosive part of all this. A father coaching his son in the NFL, at quarterback no less, is completely unprecedented. It creates emotional complexity that no other franchise has dealt with. Accountability gets blurry. Objectivity gets tested. And the locker room has to buy into the idea that every decision being made is based on merit, not bloodline. Even if there's no actual favoritism, perception is everything. One bad game, one questionable call, one media comment taken out of context, and the narrative spins. That's the gamble here. That Deion can lead everyone, not just his son. That veterans won't start checking out if they feel like the quarterback-coach relationship is untouchable. That team dynamics don't start crumbling under the weight of what looks like nepotism, even if it's not. Supporters will point to Colorado, where Deion rebuilt the entire structure in months. He didn't just coach, he marketed, inspired, and reshaped the standard. But college isn't the NFL. Those players needed guidance. In the pros, players expect autonomy. Deion would have to recalibrate fast. And all of it hinges on Shedeur. Because if he comes out and plays, if he looks poised, confident, accurate, composed, it validates the entire plan. The father-son pairing becomes genius. The risk becomes innovation. But if he struggles, if he looks overwhelmed or overmatched, everything starts to fall apart. Fast. Every doubter, every critic, every whisper about favoritism suddenly gets louder. And the entire house that was built on faith starts to wobble. And that's the real pressure. It's not just about winning games. It's about winning the narrative. That's what Deion does best. That's what this entire offer is about. Changing the Browns story. Right now, the Browns are defined by dysfunction, failed quarterbacks, revolving door coaches, playoff collapses, a franchise that, despite bursts of hope, always finds a way to circle back to chaos. This move? It's the most aggressive attempt yet to blow that up completely, to wipe the identity clean and start over with something bold, unorthodox, and magnetic. And yes, it's desperate. It's audacious. It breaks every norm. But for the Browns, what's the alternative? Keep playing it safe? Keep trusting systems that haven't delivered real, sustainable success in decades? They've tried to rebuild. They've tried analytics. They've tried the franchise QB route. None of it stuck. So now, they're trying something else. Someone else, who doesn't play by the same rules. Whether it works or crashes spectacularly is still a coin flip. But one thing is certain, the league is watching. Because if Deion and Shedeur can turn the Browns into winners, the copycats will follow. The NFL isn't immune to trends. And Deion, for all his critics, sets them. So here we are, on the edge of one of the wildest potential pivots in NFL history. A franchise in chaos, a college coach with massive cultural capital, a rookie quarterback with everything to prove, and a front office ready to surrender power in exchange for a new identity. It's either a bold leap forward or a free fall in slow motion. Let us know what you think. Is this the Browns finally making a smart bet? Or are they about to write the most chaotic chapter yet in their long saga of dysfunction? Hit like if you're watching this unfold in disbelief. Drop a comment below with your take on the Coach Prime offer. And make sure to subscribe. We'll be here when this story takes its next dramatic turn, and trust us, it will. Because even if the deal doesn't go through, if Deion says no, or the front office backs off, or public pressure mounts to stick with the status quo, the fact that the Browns even made this offer tells you everything. It tells you this franchise is at a breaking point. This isn't a coaching change. This is an identity crisis with a billion-dollar spotlight, a full surrender tradition in exchange for a storyline they hope can break the curse. They're not just trying to win games anymore. They're trying to matter. And in 2026, being relevant in the NFL isn't just about wins. It's about media control, headlines, viewership, market share. If you can't build a consistent playoff team, you better build a team people can't stop talking about. That's what Deion offers. He's not just a coach. He's a brand, a media magnet, a disruptor who doesn't just draw cameras. He turns them into currency. The Browns know this. They've spent years watching teams like the Cowboys, Jets, and even the Raiders stay culturally relevant despite mediocre records. What those teams have, and what Cleveland has never had, is a storyline that sells, a face of the franchise that creates interest even when the football is average. Enter Deion Sanders. His arrival would make Cleveland can't-miss television. Weekly press conferences would trend. Every win would be gospel. Every loss would be spectacle. Every snap Shedeur takes would be dissected with a level of scrutiny that even top 10 picks usually avoid. That's the cost of becoming a headline team. You get the spotlight, but you also get no room to fail. And that's what makes this gamble so dangerous. Because the Browns aren't built like a team ready to absorb high-stakes risk. This isn't a franchise with deep stability. They don't have the playoff resume to fall back on. They don't have the rings. They don't have the institutional trust. All they have is a chance to roll the dice. Big. And they're betting that Deion's confidence, charisma, and leadership can do what decades of planning haven't. Make Cleveland a contender and make them interesting while doing it. That second part matters more than ever. Because today's NFL isn't just a league. It's content. Every team is a media outlet. Every player is a brand. And Deion, he's been living that reality since the 90s, before most of the league even knew how to spell social strategy. He's built for this moment. He knows how to hold a room, flip a narrative, make the doubters eat their words. He's done it at Jackson State. He did it at Colorado. And now the Browns are asking, can he do it at the highest level? Here's where the tension builds. Because if you're a Browns fan, part of you might be thrilled. Finally, someone bold enough to break the cycle. Someone with presence, purpose, and a point of view. But the other part of you, let's be honest, is probably exhausted. You've seen the next big thing before. You've lived the quarterbacks, the coaching carousels, the overpromises and underdeliveries. So why should this time be different? Well, it might not be. That's the truth. This could flame out spectacularly. Deion could struggle with the transition. Shedeur could fold under pressure. The locker room could fracture. The national media could turn. And the Browns could become the most chaotic reality show in football. Or they could pull it off. They could ride the prime momentum, rally behind a clear identity, and finally become something Cleveland hasn't seen since the Bernie Kosar era. Consistent. Not perfect. Not even dominant. Just steady, dangerous, and respected. And that outcome hinges entirely on how the story is managed. Because right now it's all narrative. Deion hasn't signed. Stefanski hasn't been fired. Shifts in power are being whispered, not confirmed. But the fact that this is where the conversation has gone, this far, this fast, means something's cracked internally. You don't float this kind of offer if you believe in your current structure. You don't risk alienating your GM, undercutting your coach, and overhauling your hierarchy unless you're already done pretending it's working. This is a last-ditch effort dressed up as ambition. And that's why it feels like such a high-wire act. Because success isn't just about hiring Deion. It's about completely rebuilding the foundation underneath him. Trust, structure, player buy-in, front office collaboration, all while handling the media frenzy that comes with putting your entire brand in one man's hands. Deion Sanders might be capable of all that, or he might not. But make no mistake, if he accepts this offer, if the Browns hand the keys, there's no going back. No buffer. No plausible deniability. Every decision, draft picks, free agents, play calls, locker room culture, will be a reflection of him. And if it fails, the fallout will be historic, not just for Deion, not just for Shedeur, but for the franchise as a whole. Because you can only hit the reset button so many times before the battery dies. That's where the Browns are, standing at the edge of a massive gamble, hoping that the story sells and the results follow. Because when it comes down to it, this isn't just about football, this is about control. The Browns are offering Deion Sanders something almost no one gets in the NFL: total power, full control over roster decisions, final say on the makeup of the team. Not even most Super Bowl winning coaches get that level of autonomy. So when a franchise that spent 2 decades trying to reinvent itself suddenly hands the keys to someone with 0 NFL coaching experience, you know something shifted. Desperation? Maybe, but also calculation. Because Deion isn't just a coach. He's a brand, a movement. And the Browns aren't just trying to fix a losing record. They're trying to erase a reputation, one that's been stained by dysfunction, short-lived experiments, and failed quarterback projects. One that's haunted every draft pick and clouded every front office decision. So now they're blowing it up. Not a soft reset, a full-scale identity reboot. And they're doing it around one man and one family. If this deal happens, the Cleveland Browns will become the Sanders franchise. Period. Deion on the sidelines, Shedeur under center, legacy, leadership, and limelight, wrapped in one of the most audacious experiments the NFL has ever seen. It's not just about performance. It's about story, about turning the Browns from a team into a platform. And yes, that means risk, but it also means attention, because Deion doesn't just coach games. He owns every news cycle. From a marketing standpoint, the math adds up. Coach Prime guarantees camera time, social engagement, jersey sales, and cultural relevance, something Cleveland hasn't had in years. Not since the brief Baker Mayfield era flirted with energy before collapsing under the weight of overexposure and underdelivery. But from a football standpoint, that's where things get dicey. Because even Deion supporters can't deny the leap from college to the NFL is enormous. At Jackson State in Colorado, he was in control, able to reshape rosters, reframe expectations, and move quickly. But in the NFL, egos are bigger, contracts are ironclad, and players don't answer to motivational speeches alone. They answer to results. Veteran players won't care about press conferences. They'll care about wins, respect, and fair treatment. And when your quarterback is the coach's son, that line gets thin. Every decision will be under a microscope. Every rotation, every play call, every sideline interaction. If Shedeur throws a pick, was it just a mistake, or a sign that the coach is protecting him too much? If he gets benched, is it performance or a play to avoid public backlash? That's the tightrope they'll be walking every single week. And you better believe opposing teams and media outlets will be waiting to pounce. Because as much as the storyline excites fans, it also fuels criticism. NFL traditionalists will call it a circus. Analysts will debate whether Deion earned this shot or just talk his way into it. Every stumble will be magnified. Every loss will be personal. And for Shedeur, the spotlight gets hotter. He's already carrying the pressure of being a rookie quarterback. Now he'd be doing it with his father as head coach, the entire league watching, and a franchise staking its future on their bond. That's a level of scrutiny no rookie QB in history has dealt with. But here's the wild part. It might work. Deion has proven he can change cultures fast. At Colorado, he took over a team with 1 win and turned them into a national conversation in months. He's not afraid to overhaul a locker room, challenge mindsets, or demand buy-in. He knows how to build belief, especially when the outside world doubts him. And right now, the Browns are a team that needs belief more than anything. They've tried every other formula: analytics, talent stacking, veteran leadership, conservative coaching. None of it stuck. So now they're betting on conviction, charisma, control, and maybe that's what it takes. Not just better schemes or smarter play calling, but a complete shift in mindset. A figurehead who can make players believe they're part of something bigger than stats or standings. Someone who turns the Browns into a movement, not just a franchise clawing its way back to .500. But again, that only works if the locker room buys in. Because if the veterans don't trust the system, if players feel like the organization's become a family business, things fall apart quickly. NFL teams don't run on inspiration alone. They run on trust, accountability, structure. Can Deion deliver that at the pro level? That's the $100 million question. And even beyond that, there's the elephant in the room, Andrew Berry. For years, Berry was considered one of the smartest young executives in the league. His roster construction was praised. His draft strategy was meticulous. He brought order to chaos. And now, with this reported Deion offer, it looks like ownership is sidelining him, because you can't have two captains on one ship. If Deion takes over with full control, Berry's voice gets muted. That's not a tweak. That's a coup. And it's not just about hurt feelings. It's about philosophy. Berry represents data, analytics, slow-burn team building. Deion represents instinct, feel, and immediate impact. You can't run both systems at the same time. One will have to give. So if this deal happens, it's not just a change at head coach. It's a full pivot in how the Browns operate, from the front office to the field. And for Kevin Stefanski, the writing's already on the wall. Even if he finishes the season strong, even if the locker room respect him, he's now living under a cloud of speculation he didn't ask for. The Deion rumor has overtaken his tenure. He's no longer being judged on wins and losses. He's being judged against a hypothetical. That's brutal, but it's also the business. Because when ownership starts imagining a world where Deion Sanders is running your franchise, every current piece starts to look like a placeholder. Stefanski, Berry, the current coaching staff, everyone becomes part of the old story. And in the NFL, perception shifts fast. Right now, perception says the Browns are tired of waiting, tired of failing, and willing to break every tradition to finally matter. So what happens next? Either the Browns land Deion in hand over control, sparking a media frenzy unlike anything the NFL has seen, or the deal fizzles, leaving behind a fractured front office, a confused fan base, and a head coach dangling by a thread. Either way, the stakes couldn't be higher. Because this isn't just about bringing in a new voice. It's about deciding what kind of team the Browns want to be, measured methodical or bold and brash, quiet and process-driven, or loud and magnetic. They can't be both. This move, if it happens, forces the Browns to pick a lane. And the rest of the league will be watching closely, not just to see if it works, but to see if they should follow. Because if Deion pulls this off, if he wins games, builds a culture, and proves the doubters wrong, it won't just change Cleveland. It'll change the entire league. Let us know where you stand. Would you hand the keys to Coach Prime, or is this a step too far for a team that's barely stayed upright as it is? Smash the like button if you're watching the soap opera unfold in real time. Drop your thoughts in the comments and make sure you're subscribed. Because whether this ends in triumph or total collapse, the next chapter is going to be unmissable.